Hello everyone, welcome to the Smashi Business Show. Today is Monday, October 6, 2025, and I am Abdul Majid Awan.
And I'm Warit Ahmed, and we've got a packed show for you today. First up, the London dairy owner IFFCO hires Rothschild for $2 billion debt restructuring. Egypt's richest man, Naguib Sawiris, is named in the Tony Blair-linked post-war Gaza governance plan, and DoorDash has completed the Deliveroo UAE takeover. And finally, London court has ruled in favor of DP World in the Djibouti port dispute.
Very first story today. Over the weekend, we had a lot of stuff going on, but UAE-based IFFCO, IFFCO group, known for brands like London Dairy, Tiffany Biscuits, and LDC Kitchens and Coffee, has hired Rothschild and Company to advise on a $2 billion debt restructuring, according to Bloomberg. The move replaces Alvarez and Marshall, which has been advising the company earlier on the same process.
Now, IFFCO's lenders include several Dubai and Abu Dhabi banks, with HSBC reportedly among the most exposed. PwC is advising creditors on the deal, which could become one of the largest corporate restructurings in the Middle East in recent years. Now, discussions are ongoing, and a final agreement has not yet been reached.
And most importantly, representatives from IFFCO, Rothschild, and A&M and HSBC declined to comment on the matter. IFFCO's restructuring comes amid a wave of major debt overhauls in the region, including Saudi Bin Laden Group's $15 billion restructuring, NMC Health's $7 billion restructuring, and KBBO Group's $2 billion financial reorganizations since 2020.
Now, founded in 1975, IFFCO operates across 50 countries with business interests spanning food, packaging, chemicals, and logistics. Now, the company actually traces its roots back to India's Alana Group, established in 1865 as an exporter of halal meat. Now, its global presence and diversified portfolio makes it a key player in the Gulf's consumer sector.
And the next, a very important, very big story, which is going on to the next story. But yeah, debt restructuring is very important. You have a lot of debt and they have to restructure it. They want to pay it off. It's important that these stories are covered because we want to know that some companies are doing it. Every company, to be honest, is somehow in a debt always. But this one is $2 billion, and we saw others like $15 billion for other big companies. But important, it's good that they've hired Rothschild, one of the oldest people who have done this for a lot of people. So very important.
But they own HSBC money, and I don't think that's a bank that you want to owe money to. I think with this entire story, Majid, as you said, there is definitely a lot of liquidity stress going on there. But I think what really is standing out to me about this entire story is how such an old giant, like they have really deep roots, could be going through such a thing. Because, you know, when you take a look at the kind of products that they have, they're not just the London dairy owners and, you know, Tiffany in itself, like that in itself is also a very huge, like, you know, food conglomerate. Like they have Tiffany biscuits, you know, that popcorn, the caramel popcorn, the cheese popcorn, they have a lot of products. And I think that this is, to me, it's signifying that perhaps there is more competition in the market than they can likely handle, because we are seeing the wave of products that are coming in right now. So, you know, can an old product like Tiffany, a product that's really trusted, you know those biscuits in the yellow packets? I feel like we all grew up with that, like in our childhood. So you know, will that last, I think, is the real question.
It's very important because the thing is, every day you see a new product being launched right now, because again, this economy is so mature and so hyped up that everyone wants to come here. And even if the global brands are not here, someone local is starting something. So obviously, selling the same thing over a few years, obviously there's nostalgia and people will buy it still. But again, you need to constantly change it. Very important and very big example is Fixed Chocolate. We still haven't seen them selling it on retail, but they keep changing, they keep bringing in new flavors. So at least they're innovating that way, that they keep giving the customer something new. So yeah, with these products also, their main selling products, they need to innovate as well. And yeah, talking about innovation. And we have gone to the next story. It's Egypt's richest man who beat his brother to the richest spot. Naguib Sawiris has been named in a leaked 21-page proposal outlining plans for a post-war governing body in Gaza, according to The Guardian and Haaretz. The proposal, which surfaced after Donald Trump's Peace Council announcement, envisions a UN-supervised authority to manage Gaza's reconstruction for up to 5 years.
Now, the plan reportedly proposes a 7 to 10 member council approved by the UN Security Council. But what's really concerning here is that it's including only one Palestinian representative from the business or security sector. Now, critics have condemned the move as undermining Palestinian leadership, replacing it with foreign figures and investors to administer the post-war reconstruction and governance process.
And former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair is cited as a possible chair of the proposed authority, while Naguib Sawiris appears as the only Arab businessman among potential members. Even Tony Blair being there, he has a long history with Middle East and Gulf, and not a good one. But he has been named as the chair. Others named include Apollo Global Management CEO Mark Rowan and former US diplomat Aryeh Lightstone, both known for their proximity to American and Israeli political networks.
Now, reports highlight the long-standing relationship between Sawiris and Blair, including a 2014 yacht gathering in Saint-Tropez and a 2019 family visit to El Gouna. Now, their close personal ties have sparked renewed speculation about Blair's influence in the region and Sawiris' role in shaping potential private sector involvement in Gaza's recovery.
And Sawiris, chairman of Orascom Investment Holding, recently overtook his brother Nassif Sawiris as Egypt's richest man with $9.2 billion fortune, according to Bloomberg. His global telecom empire spans the Middle East, Africa, and Europe, positioning him as one of the most influential Arab businessmen in both political and investment circles.
And most certainly he is influential. I mean, imagine being the only Arab businessman that is included in a plan of that massive scale. I think I'm completely surprised by that. If I were to think about it logically, I think it's because of the fact that they're basically putting together this committee in Egypt, Majid, and they're running it from there. So I believe, or maybe that's just a complete coincidence, and that's not the reason why Naguib Sawiris is there. But I think it's, with these billionaires, you kind of have to notice this trend that they seem to wake up in conflicts. Don't you think? They seem to really wake up and, become the savior and, come to the people. And I think that in the past couple of months, we've sort of seen this, with Khalaf al-Habtour, the al-Habtour Group chairman and founder. He targeted Syria. He went after Syria. He's making donations and he's trying to start projects there. And with Naguib, he's going into Palestine. Now, do you think that this is out of goodwill, or do you think that because they see the potential in untouched land?
It's going to be a lot of rebuilding in Gaza, so obviously everyone would want to be in there to become a part of it, because whatever money you spend in rebuilding it, you'll get it from different players. I don't know who is going to finance it. Is the UN going to finance it? Is countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, all these countries which have a history of financing problem-struck countries like Syria. We saw so many commitments from Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar. Everyone is just trying to help Syria rebuild. One reason they want another superpower in the country, economic superpower. One reason, very big international, bird-eye view reason. But then obviously there is an opportunity there as well to gain something. It's not that being opportunistic, it's just being you go in, you do something, and you get some return out of it, right?
It is opportunistic. This is very opportunistic.
With Naguib Sawiris, it's pretty clear he is a part of a construction consortium. They are a very big company in Egypt. They have the expertise. They have the chance also now to become a part of it. Basically, the Peace Council, as they're calling it, is going to help rebuild it, but they're going to oversee it. So you can't just say that these people will not have any stake in who gets the contracts to rebuild and who gets what. So he will have a say in it. And that way he can make some money, I think.
No, but I think with Majid, specifically with Naguib Sawiris, he does have a very political past, in fact. And I think, it started with his father, it started with Ansi. The fact that there was a time where when Nasser was the president then, when their dad was building their business, they had nationalized the company. And then that's when they had Sadat come in. Yeah. So I feel that, because they grew up in that, sort of political environment, that's why they're that way. Like, I remember reading something somewhere that during the Arab Spring, Naguib Sawiris had actually formed this committee. He has actually always had this sort of personality, which kind of brings me to my point of, with these media businesses that we see these billionaires starting, with Naguib Sawiris, seeing him with Monify and his past ventures, what if the reason why these media businesses are being formed, why they're still alive, even if they're not even making any money, it's not because of the fact that these billionaires think that they're a form of business and they can make you a lot of money, but what if it's, this is kind of like their side hobby? Honestly, don't you think so? I think that it's kind of like a side hobby for them, this freedom of speech that they have because they have a freedom of money and endless resources. So they're like, why not keep these media companies afloat, to tell people our thoughts? That's kind of how I'm thinking about it.
I'll give you examples of all the people who have done it. And it's basically kind of like a hierarchy where once you get enough money, you want power. And it's not me, it's intellectuals who've written over time about how people perceive everything. So it's needs that need to be fulfilled in the pyramid. Then you get to wants, then you get to money, and then eventually with money you can buy power. Elon Musk is the biggest example. He needed some place to say whatever he wanted.
Freeload his thoughts.
Yeah. Larry Ellison is now buying Twitter, TikTok. So he wants to portray whatever he thinks he wants to put it into some media. In Pakistan, some of the biggest news channels, which are like 4 or 5, the biggest ones who get like 90% of the business, all of them are owned by billionaires. Even the company that I worked at, the owner owned 52 businesses. Every business was $1 million business.
Majid, what's his name?
Dr. Sultan Lakhani. And all of that is public. It's not like I'm telling you secrets. He owns 52 businesses. And his favorite business is media business. His office is in our office. Express is the main group, and then under that we have Express Tribune, Express English newspaper, Urdu newspaper, Sindhi newspaper. He is very famous for having investments in Laxon tobacco. So he was a 51% owner. So everyone was like, oh, you're in media and then you're selling cigarettes and all that. So he sold majority stake. He still kept a minority stake. All of this is public again. But so you see, every person, I think, to an extent, when they get money, they want their thoughts, their messages spread out in the world. And best way is to form a media company and just do that.
Yeah,
so
like,
we have so many examples now. Yeah.
I don't think it's about the money.
Yeah, it's just really giving your thought to the world and having a medium which will cover you like anything. So
for sure.
Naguib Sawiris, we saw when Monify was launched, everything was surrounded by him. Oh, he says, I want to make people. Yeah, I love him. I love the fact that he comes out and speaks. He's very active on Twitter. He's commenting on stuff. Sometimes he's replying to people, random tweets. I remember we did a story, some construction accident happened and he replied that, I own zero part in it.
Sahel or El Guna. There was something that happened.
But he literally was like, sorry, I'm not a part of this. My brother is, or maybe not that, ask the government what happened. So it's just that.
It was an accident. It was a really unfortunate
accident. Coming back to the Gaza peace plan, Hamas has agreed to a lot of things. They are sitting now with Egypt, I think today or tomorrow. No, today actually. And we will know what will happen. It's a good thing that Hamas has agreed to a lot of points. America is part of the negotiations now. As soon as this, whatever is happening, we call it a genocide because everyone calls it a genocide and every human with a conscience calls it a genocide. If as soon as this genocide ends, the quicker the recovery for the Palestinian people who've suffered enough. I think it's October 7 in one day. Tomorrow is October 7. It'll be exactly 2 years. How much is 365? It's going to be 730 days to be exact tomorrow. of constant bombing and whatever we've seen. It's a famine. A UN body has said it's a famine. We're not saying it. Everyone calls it a genocide, man-induced, human-induced famine. As soon as this gets over, better for Palestinian people. So, yeah, this is happening, and Naguib Sawiris is he's proposed to be part of the Peace Commission, which will see the rebuilding in over 5 years. The only good part I see in this is there is some Arab voice at least there. There is a Palestinian person, but there is at least one Arab voice.
I think it's
Apart from that, all the
scary.
names we
the
read
names
was
that you're
like
seeing that are
they're
floating.
Westerners. Right?
I even saw like Jared Kushner's name floating there, and I remember that video that we saw. So basically, Jared Kushner, he has this fund called Affinity Partners. He had received, I believe, $2 billion from PIF before the Public Investment Fund.
When Trump became president for the first time.
And he also received funding from Qatar Investment Authority, and very recently we saw this Bloomberg piece about how he was actually the one who led the negotiations for the really big gaming acquisition that happened. But I think with all of this, you can clearly see that they're really seeing this for a business opportunity. Yeah. And we'll get into that perspective later on more, but just to move on to our next story, DoorDash has completed its acquisition of Deliveroo UAE, marking a major expansion of its global footprint. The deal, valued at approximately $3.9 billion, strengthens DoorDash's reach across the Middle East and consolidates its operations in markets where Deliveroo already has an established customer base and delivery network.
And in a statement, DoorDash co-founder and CEO Tony Zhu said, "The transition marks the beginning of a new chapter, assuring customers that Deliveroo's app and products will remain unchanged." Zhu added that combining DoorDash's global technology and scale will allow the company to serve more people in more places with greater impact.
As part of the integration, Mickey Kusi, co-founder of Walt and DoorDash's head of international, has been appointed CEO of Deliveroo. Kusi will relocate to London in the coming months to oversee operations. This is because Deliveroo it's based in the UK. Now, the merger officially positions DoorDash and Deliveroo to operate in over 40 countries worldwide, enhancing their international reach.
The acquisition, which received regulatory clearance from the European Union earlier this month, underscores DoorDash's ambition to become a dominant global player in the food delivery sector. Analysts say the deal will increase competition with rivals such as Uber Eats and Talabat, especially in fast-growing markets like the UAE.
And with Deliveroo UAE's network integrated, DoorDash gains access to more local restaurants and customers across the Gulf. Now, the company said the merger will help improve efficiency, expand delivery options, and introduce new technology-driven services. The move cements DoorDash's status as one of the largest delivery platforms operating across multiple continents, but mainly America.
Yeah, and very importantly, this deal was announced earlier. We did a story.
I remember that story, Majid.
We wrote in the headline that fixed desserts only, I think, exclusive Deliveroo, basically. They got, and we got a lot of flack for it. But importantly, Deliveroo is very famous for fixed chocolate, right? 2 to 5 p.m. you can order it. Or
that is the only reason why I would use it, by the way. Yeah. I think that Talabat and Kareem, they offer more discounts, and now Kita, they offer way
they randomly
better
came
discounts.
from somewhere. My wife was looking at 2-3 divers, and she's like, "Have they launched?" "Oh, they have launched." And I was like, "Yeah, they have launched."
They're so quick.
Yeah,
Kita is insane. I believe in this. I did not think that it would steal my heart, but it has. But I think with this entire story,
it's kind of like what's the name of Talabat? The Delivery Hero and Talabat story, right? It's exactly nearly the same
really
story.
Is.
Someone from outside coming up and seeing, "Oh, this is doing good." But they overtook Deliveroo overall. Globally, they bought it. But obviously, when they bought it globally, Deliveroo UAE also went with the whole deal. But yeah, it looks like Delivery Hero and Talabat once again.
But you know what it is with this entire story, Majid? I think that it's pointing to a far bigger trend than even we know.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that, you know, you mentioned Delivery Hero. Delivery Hero is German, and how they've just gone across the entire Middle East. I think they also purchased a hunger station through Food Panda in Saudi Arabia. And then we saw how Amazon had acquired Souq.com. And then you have Noon by Mohammed Al-Abbar, and PIF acquired Namshi. And Namshi was made by, what's his name? Hussam. It was made by, I should remember this company. I should. It's not Tamara. It's, anyways.
Tabby?
Yes, Tabby. The Tabby founder is also the co-founder of Namshi. But my point to say is, are you noticing how e-commerce companies, all of these delivery giants, they're almost kind of becoming the like new big four? And look, hear me out when I say this. It's like a long time ago, we'd read articles about how like the best CEOs, the best founders, they're coming out of McKinsey. Like I think the Citi CEO, her name's Jane Fraser, I believe, but the bank. But my point is here is to say that now we're seeing that the best founders, they're coming out of these e-commerce companies.
Yes.
And I think that it really does have to do with that rise in technology, because these are becoming the best companies to work at. A long time ago, Majid, if you tell people, I'm working at McKinsey, PwC, Microsoft, Apple, that's like the best next big thing. But now, I feel like the next big thing is that if you tell someone like, I'm working at Kareem, or I'm working at Noon, you know, and we saw that especially when Mohammed Al-Abbar told the Financial Times that Noon is going to IPO at $10 billion. So I think that this is really telling something different when you're seeing people like, you know, the Tabby founder, you know, come out of Namshi, then go and found Tabby, and a lot of the Kareem employees being really great founders. I think that it's really speaking to such a big trend that this is where the money is at now. This is like our new consultancies, our new big fours. No, seriously, I really do think that.
And also, it shows that Western companies, the big giants who started these concepts in with the West, and they consolidated it, and now kind of like they're dipping in quality and in everything. They're looking at Middle East for acquisitions. They're not looking at their local brands for acquisitions, because they realize, one, Middle East has the buying power. They order stuff. I've used Noon like thrice or 4 times a day as well. They've realized that the potential is here now. It's not there. It's not in their own countries. Every delivery company that you see is either making an acquisition in this region, or they're launching in this region, because they know, again, people have the money, there is potential. Saudi Arabia is a very, very, very big market, which is still untapped, to be honest, in terms of delivery. Because when you go from UAE to Saudi Arabia, you're spoiled for choices. You don't even know where to order from. But now, since Keeta is there and the stations there's hundreds of other local players, regional players, then city players even. Some of them only deliver in a few cities. So all these choices make you spoiled, to be honest. Even now, people are trying Keeta and they're like, oh, delivery is free for the first, I don't know how many orders. I haven't tried it because I know they suck you in with all these offers. Because I think, talked about Keeta's philosophy in Saudi Arabia as well, that they have this
vouchers.
Cannibalistic kind of idea where they literally suck the life out of their competition.
They will eat everything.
Yeah, but I don't want them to do that to Noon or Talabat. I want them to work together. But one thing that I noticed over the weekend, usually when I go to Discovery Gardens Pavilion, it's right next to my house, I always see Noon, Talabat, Kareem, 3 delivery riders. They have a whole area for their bikes. It's always them. This time, funnily, I saw more Keeta bikes than all 3 of them combined. And I was like, what? What is this? And my son has a habit of playing this game in the car. He looks at he calls them robots. So he's like, oh, the Noon robot, the Kareem robot. And he constantly was like, Noon, Noon. I was like, no, it's not Noon. And I told him, I was like, yellow is Noon, but mustard is Keeta. And he now remembers Keeta. So it's very funny that they randomly popped out of nowhere, and they have so many delivery
Their
riders.
branding is really strong too, by the way.
And the funny thing, it's very close to Noon, so you can't actually figure it out. Like my son, he first look, he was like, Noon. I was like, no, bro, it's Keeta. So it's very close to noon, and they're offering so much, and everyone is like trying to switch because obviously, why not? You get 5 or 10 free deliveries or 50% off on this and 30% off on that. So you would go it. The only thing that I see over the time happening that all of them maybe somehow will consolidate into 2 or 3 big players, and this always happens across the globe. Whatever industry you pick up, whatever product you pick up.
That's what we saw happen with NBC and Netflix.
Yeah.
I know that that's a
Everything,
completely different
yeah.
industry, but them starting that joint subscription together, that is so true.
Yeah. So you have to keep a lookout for Kita. If try it, tell us. You can always message us, oh, we loved Kita or we didn't love Kita. But I think we're already too spoiled by noon. So let's see how Kita works in this market. But the next story is very interesting. It's a little complicated, so we'll try to explain it to you in as simple terms as possible. The London Court of International Arbitration has ruled that the government of Djibouti acted illegally. It's the government against DP World, so acted illegally when it seized the Durale container terminal from DP World in 2018. According to the Khalij Times, the court reaffirmed DP World's 685 million enforceable awards against Djibouti, which the government has yet to honor.
Now, the London court ruling clarified that harm was caused directly by the Djiboutian government rejecting claims for damages against the state-owned Port de Djibouti. Now, the decision brings closure to DP World's an entire clash with Djibouti, though broader disputes remain ongoing with Djibouti's government and the China Merchants Port Holding.
So the Dubai-based logistics giant has been in a 7-year legal battle with Djibouti. Again, it's a company against a country. After the government terminated its concessions, alleging the deal unfairly favored DP World, the company held a 33.3% stake in the terminal and had operated the strategic Durale container terminal since 2006 under a long-term concession agreement.
Now, London Court's decision upholds a third partial award, granting $200 million in damages for the period between February 2018 and December 2020. Now, a U.S. court actually also supported this decision last year, confirming DP World's right to recover damages from the Djiboutian government over its unlawful seizure of port operations.
And lastly, despite repeated rulings in its favor, DP World continues to face resistance from Djibouti over enforcement. The company still has an estimated $1 billion claim pending against the government and its partners. Analysts say the case underscores the growing risks foreign investors face in politically volatile port and infrastructure markets. It's basically they owe them a lot of money because when you go into these deals, into 20 years deal, 30 years deals, or 10-year deal even, you get a lot of discounts from the government that, oh, since you're operating here for 10 years, you're signing this contract, we'll give you concession on this fee, this fee, this fee, a lot of government fee. It's kind of like where the government makes money from. So they give you a lot of concessions, discounts. But randomly Djibouti was like, okay, no, we're giving them concessions and discounts. Why are we doing that? They don't deserve it. It gives them a monopoly and blah, blah, blah. And they pulled the discount. Now, you have a contract with the company. Either you shouldn't have signed the contract, one, and if you sign a contract, abide by it. But that's what the whole case is about. Djibouti government pulling out of the contract without any reason, just thinking that, oh, this deal favors DP World. Shouldn't have signed it. And if you've signed it, abide by it. And that's the whole case that's going on. Very simply put, it's very complicated when you go into the technicalities, but very simply put, it's just that they now owe them a lot of money because DP World kept working there for 2 years and they didn't get concessions, but they had signed on concessions. So it now rounds up to 200 million, but overall the whole case is around $1 billion.
Wow,
that's money
crazy.
Stuck in a country with a government which is not abiding by international
But I think,
law.
you know, with this entire story, Majid, it kind of really does lend a hand to the discussion about the entire post-war Gaza plan, Naguib Sawiris being involved, and I'll tell you guys how. You know how we were having that discussion about how, like, you know, no, this is opportunistic, or no, it's not opportunistic. I think with these stories, and it is really unfortunate to say, to be honest with you, but like when we bring up all these companies working together, working with Israel, like, you know, Microsoft, YouTube, Meta, Uber, all these companies working with them, I feel that the most simple perspective, which is a very true perspective too, is that, they're supporting Israel.
Yeah.
They are with Israel. But in fact, all of these deals, as we saw with this court ruling here, this entire dispute, they're all business deals.
Yeah.
They of course, to us, it is political because it is political because in the end of the day, people are dying in this genocide and these companies are complicit in it. But we also have to remember that just because these companies are working with Israel, that does not necessarily mean that they're friends or that they agree with what they're doing. And I feel like a big example of this is, remember that court case that we covered, the one that involved Mark Zuckerberg's Meta and this Israeli company called NSO.
Yeah.
NSO, they own this Pegasus software, and basically this software was allegedly accused of spying on journalists, I believe, on WhatsApp. And in fact, very recently, the case was settled, and Meta had actually won over $160 million in damages. That is an Israeli company.
They found a bug in WhatsApp and they exploited it, Israeli software. And they spied on a few people, and journalists were part of it, which is more important. It's not like we're not saying the other people were not affected, but journalists were mainly affected because of it. And it's against basic international laws. So that happened. And to be honest, it's very clear. We did share this video yesterday. I saw Worth shared it.
The one with Microsoft.
Yeah, the Microsoft people. And you go and look into it. That deal Microsoft signed with the Israeli government, the IDF, and all of them, it's the second biggest deal they have in the world. I think it was $133 or $143 million of deal.
It was above that amount.
Yeah, where they provided the Azure services. And it's the second largest because the first largest is US. So Microsoft has the biggest deal for that software, for that technology with US, and then the second highest people who were ready to pay that much money was Israel. So you have to understand, they want to work. Obviously, Microsoft wants to make money. They're a business. But then finally, recently, they were like, we are not going to provide any more services because
it was just to one unit.
Yeah,
it was to one unit.
Independent people who are not Microsoft or who are not IDF, they've said that they actually used it to spy on a lot of people.
Imagine, this is what I mean, though.
Yeah.
Look, what they're doing is wrong.
They are friendship. Complicit. It's just business,
But this is not a friendship.
Yeah.
Look at what Zuckerberg did. He was like, you guys put bugs in WhatsApp?
Yeah.
I'm taking you people to court.
Yeah.
You're not my friends.
Yeah.
So it's kind of this fact of what I'm trying to say is with all these business deals, this is purely financial. This is purely opportunistic. They're coming for a specific goal. You wrong them, it does not go well.
Yeah.
You will go to court. And we see that in multiple examples.
We see Microsoft, they're like, okay, independent people are saying that the whole arbitration happened there in the case of Microsoft versus IDF, and them using their data places to store all those Palestinian calls. They backed out. They were like, no, we're not going to provide you for that. So sometimes you have to look at it from this angle that they want to make money. And if someone comes and offers them money, they will say yes. But later, if they realize that it's not good for their image or even for business, they will walk out. So it's no friendships. It's just business at its core.
It is, and that's a wrap for today, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into the Smashi Business Show. Make sure to follow us across all social media channels at Smashi Business and stay ahead with our daily newsletter. You'll find the subscription link in the description.
This has been a Smashi Business Show, a Smashi Business production, part of the Augustus Media Podcast Network. A big shout out to our more than 2 million monthly listeners across all platforms. You make this possible. If you're one of them, we appreciate you. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow on Tuesday.